Your concern is very valid and, many people often wonder the same thing. Why, with so much technological progress, do plane crashes still happen? And why can't we find safer, more foolproof emergency solutions? Let's break this down into a few key points. The aviation industry is actually one of the safest forms of transport today. According to IATA, in 2023, there's just one fatal accident per 4.2 million flights. Crashes are extremely rare, and honestly, most accidents result from a very complex chain of events, not a single point of failure. Modern aircraft are packed with redundant systems, AI-assisted controls, and weather prediction tools to avoid danger before it ever becomes life-threatening. But here's the catch. These safety measures are mostly invisible to passengers, so we tend to notice the luxury improvements, like business class, Wi-Fi, and screens, more than the massive safety upgrades. This idea comes up often, but here's why it's just so hard to implement. Parachutes for everyone. Well, planes fly at 35,000 feet, or about 10.6 kilometers, where the air is way too thin to breathe, and temperatures can drop to -40 degrees Celsius or even lower. Parachuting from such altitudes is nearly impossible for untrained people. You'd need oxygen tanks, training, and time, none of which are available in a sudden emergency. Escape pods or ejectable cabins? Well, some Russian designs like the Tupolev Tu-204 actually experimented with ejectable passenger cabins. The problem is, engineering this safely and reliably is incredibly difficult because it adds a huge amount of weight and reduces fuel efficiency. There's also a real risk of injuring passengers during separation. Costs become astronomical, with maintenance, testing, and regulatory approval all adding up. And on top of all that, you still have weather and terrain challenges to deal with. That's partly a perception issue. Research and development does heavily focus on safety, but here's the thing. Airlines market luxury because honestly, it's what sells to customers. Safety innovations are actually baked into materials, sensors, avionics, and pilot training protocols. But that's not exactly the flashy stuff you see in ads. For example, new jet engines are designed to contain debris even after explosions. Artificial intelligence systems help prevent human error, which, by the way, causes about 3/4 of crashes. And airport systems are becoming more and more automated to prevent runway incidents. Planes are now being designed to glide much longer distances, even without engines, like with Airbus's fly-by-wire systems or Boeing's MCS revisions. There's improved crash-resistant seating, fireproof materials, and automated emergency beacons, stuff you probably never notice. Plus, advanced radar and real-time monitoring are being used to predict faults before anything actually fails. So here's your big question. Why not have a solution where passengers can safely land during a fall? Well, the idea of a safe fall is really a physics challenge. A plane at full speed and high altitude just isn't recoverable by parachutes or capsules with current material science, unfortunately. Controlled descent with drones or jet thrusters has been theorized, but it's far from practical for full-sized aircraft because of the massive energy requirements, the need for extreme control precision, and honestly, economic feasibility. There have been some conceptual prototypes, like detachable cabins with parachutes or airbags that inflate under the aircraft. But none of these have passed real-world viability tests, especially not at scale. Aviation safety is, constantly evolving, but a lot of it happens out of public sight. Sudden, survivable falls are almost impossible to engineer safely at scale, at least with what we've got right now. Comfort improvements are just easier to market, but that doesn't mean airlines are neglecting safety. Truly innovative safety solutions would need some major breakthroughs in materials, physics, and even economics.